Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I have a good one for you today, so let's get into it. Best friends Becky and Hunter embark on a climb with Becky's husband Dan. Their adventure turns tragic when Dan slips and falls to his death, leaving Becky devastated. A year later, she has retreated into a world of alcoholism and isolation, estranging herself from her father, James, who doubts Dan was right for her. As the anniversary of Dan's death approaches, Hunter invites Becky to ascend the 2,000-foot B-67 TV tower in the desert, suggesting she scatter Dan's ashes as a way to heal. Initially resistant, Becky ultimately agrees, realizing she must confront her grief to move forward. The next day, they reach the tower and, despite its dilapidated condition, climb to a tiny platform at the top. There, Becky scatters Dan's ashes, feeling a moment of relief. However, disaster strikes during their descent when the ladder breaks, leaving them stranded hundreds of feet above the ground. Their backpack, containing water and a small quadcopter drone, has fallen onto a communications dish just out of reach. Now they must contend with their precarious situation and the emotional turmoil that brought them there. Despite being in a remote and seemingly desolate location, Hunter initially holds onto a flicker of hope that emergency services will respond to the crash of the ladder. She reasons that the distinct sound of metal clanging against the ground would surely attract attention. However, as minutes turn into hours without any sign of help, her optimism begins to fade. In a desperate bid for rescue, Hunter and her Becky attempt to use their cell phones, only to discover that the towering communications dish nearby is likely jamming any signals. Frustrated but determined, Hunter devises a plan. She carefully packs her phone into one of her shoes, believing that dropping it out of the interference zone might allow her to send a message for help. However, her hopes are dashed when the shoe, along with the phone inside, plummets to the ground and is shattered upon impact, rendering any chance of communication useless. As nightfall approaches, the darkness envelops the surrounding area, intensifying their sense of isolation. They soon spot two men camping in an RV not too far away and decide to call out for help. However, their cries go unheard, and the men seem oblivious to their plight. Feeling increasingly hopeless, Hunter and her companion resort to firing a flare gun they had discovered in an emergency kit attached to the pole during their search for supplies. The bright flare arcs through the night sky. To their relief, the campers see the flare and, at first, appear to be approaching. Yet, instead of rendering aid, the two men brazenly approach Hunter's vehicle, jump in, and drive off, leaving Hunter and her companion stranded and more vulnerable than ever. As night falls over the campsite, Becky's eyes land on a tattoo on Hunter's ankle that reads 143, a code Dan once used to express his love for her. The sight stirs painful memories as Hunter tearfully confesses to a 4-month affair that ended just prior to Becky and Dan's wedding. Despite Hunter's heartfelt apologies, Becky remains unmoved, her heart hardened by betrayal. The following day, driven by guilt and determination, Hunter takes on the dangerous climb to retrieve the backpack, a crucial reminder of their ordeal. As she ascends, the rocky ledge proves treacherous. She slips and nearly plummets, injuring her hand in the process. Despite the pain, she secures the rope to the bag. Becky, feeling the weight of their plight, gathers her strength and pulls Hunter and the backpack up from the edge, relief washing over them both. Realizing they need to signal for help, Becky notices the tower's aviation obstruction light and rigs it to charge the drone. With a flicker of hope, she sends the drone off with a desperate message. However, their hope turns to despair when a truck strikes the drone just a few miles away, crashing it to the ground and leaving them once again stranded. As night fell, Becky battled delirium from hunger and dehydration. In a fleeting moment of clarity, she turned to Hunter, asking for her shoe to pad with her phone, only to realize she had tragically fallen onto one of the communication dishes. The presence she felt was a cruel illusion of her starved mind. The next morning, Becky awoke to a vulture pecking at her wounded leg. In a desperate instinct, she struck back, killing the bird for food. Strength gradually returning, she climbed down to Hunter's lifeless form and, with trembling hands, typed a message to her father, praying for rescue. She then puts the phone into Hunter's shoe for protection, shoves it into a hole in Hunter's abdomen, and pushes it off the tower. Hunter's body cushions the impact and the message transmits. Becky's father rushes to call emergency services when he realizes she is in danger. Sirens quickly filled the air as help arrived at the tower. After a tense rescue, they brought her to safety. When they reunited, relief washed over them both as they embraced tightly, thankful to be together again.